Hello world. I need you to understand that this video is not designed to entertain. It is designed to let potential buyers know that there is very much an existing market for my invention and that I have done the research. If you're looking for entertainment, you're probably going to have to look somewhere else. Anyway, this video is also designed to let potential buyers know that yes, I do understand the size of the existing market as well as the potential for sales, and that my asking price is extremely fair and reasonable. I'm dying, folks. I'm running out of time. I don't have time to haggle with some greedy corporate jerks who think they can just throw a few $100 bills in my direction, and I'll be stupid enough to just take that and run. I'm homeless, I'm working class, but I'm not stupid. And also, please forgive me for occasionally stumbling over my words, and possibly the occasional over-editing. But like I said, this is my first go at this stuff. Thank you. Homeless D here. I'm a working class wage slave in the USA who is technically legally homeless. I am also dying from a perfectly curable ailment that the local medical establishment absolutely refuses to just properly treat. That being slow internal bleeding from 2 stomach ulcers, along with iron deficiency anemia. In my first video, I went over briefly the homeless working class wage slave part, and in a later video I'll go deeper into my medical condition. I am not here begging for handouts. I have an invention I need help getting to market, or better yet, I'd rather just sell it outright. If I can just sell this one outright, I can spend the time I need to concentrate on healing what ails me. I'm not asking you to send me money that I haven't earned. I'm asking that you help me find a buyer for my invention. However, if I get enough requests, I would probably be willing to set up a FundMe page or something like that for those of you kind-hearted folks who would be willing to just make a monetary contribution towards my cause. Also, real quickly, I'm not going to put too much into the visual part of this video because I need to just finish it and get it up. It's the audio that's more important, as you'll find out. Thank you. Around 2,500 years ago, Socrates would wander through the marketplaces of Athens, marveling at all of the useless junk for sale that people were actually buying. Not trying to equate myself with him, but I do find myself doing the same thing quite often. My invention, however, is not useless junk. In fact, not only is it useful, but there is a very viable untapped market already in existence. It would be very easily marketable to middle class as well as lower income consumers all over the world. Believe me, the market for my invention is easily in the hundreds of millions of consumers worldwide. Every day, across America and the world, more and more people are becoming ever more concerned about their health. Over the past decade, the market for organic, gluten-free, non-GMO, vegan, and paleo diet choices has soared to astronomical heights compared to what it was just that decade before. Even pet food manufacturers are beginning to feel this crunch as more and more people move to healthier diets for their dogs and cats, while bottled water sales around the world have gone through the roof. This health revolution is driving the cost of these food items down so that one no longer need to be a millionaire in order to afford to eat healthy. Another area where there has been a growing health revolution is in the clean air market. People are becoming more conscious of their immediate surroundings and about what is in the air that they breathe, especially at home. The rise in sales of home air purification machines is testament to that. My invention won't just compete with these expensive air purifier machines. It'll pretty much knock them clean out of the market. My invention could revolutionize the way people think of cleaner air. The company that markets it could make themselves a household name around the world. All of the R&D is done. I have a CAD drawing. It's ready for production, marketing, and distribution. Since I do not yet have a full patent on it, then for obvious reasons I cannot divulge every single detail without a confidentiality agreement. I did have a patent attorney do a search and opinion, and his opinion is that, if sought, a design patent should be granted, at least here in America. I have also scoured the internet to the extent to which I am capable, and what I found is nothing quite like my invention. There are very few products being sold on Amazon and eBay that offer similar end results, but they are not in stores and really will never be able to compete with my invention in the hands of an aggressive enough company. That being said, let's go into the science behind my invention. Please understand that most of my research is based in America. It's very difficult for me to get these numbers on an international scale, although some of the numbers are worldwide estimates. Ultimately, humans are humans, and in developing and third world nations, you should actually expect many of these numbers to be much higher. Regardless of the fact that America is quickly becoming a third world nation itself. Anyway, on with the basic overview of the science. Normally, the human immune system acts as the body's defense against invading germs such as bacteria and viruses. In most allergic reactions, the immune system reacts to what is basically a false alarm. When allergic people come into contact with an allergen, the immune system treats that allergen as an invader and generates large amounts of immunoglobulin E, which from here on out we'll just call IgE. Each of these antibodies is created specifically for one particular substance. For example, one antibody may be produced to react against oak pollen, while a different antibody will be produced to react against ragweed, while yet another will be created to react against mold spores, and another created to react against dust, etc. These IgE molecules attach themselves to tissue cells called mast cells, and blood cells, which are called basophil cells. So the next time the allergen encounters its specific IgE, it attaches to that antibody like a key fitting into a lock. This can trigger that IgE to release chemicals such as histamine, cytokines, and leukotrienes. These chemicals affect various parts of the body, such as the respiratory system, mucous membranes, and the mast cells in the eyes, among others, and cause symptoms of allergic reaction. In most people, the mucous membranes simply move these foreign particles to the throat, where they're swallowed or coughed out. In sensitive people, coming into contact with certain airborne substances can cause a chain reaction, causing the IgE antibodies and mast cells to produce the chemicals that contribute to allergic reaction. Some allergic people can develop asthma, which can be disabling or even fatal. Some asthma sufferers can also develop emphysema, which also can be fatal. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, in America alone, there are more than 120 million households comprising of well over 320 million people. The American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, say that 3 times fast, estimates that at least 20% of the American population and possibly more than 50% of American households are affected by allergic disease. About 40 million Americans have seasonal allergic rhinitis, commonly known as hay fever, and about 60% of the approximately 21 million people in America with asthma have allergic asthma. This group also reports that about 15%, or around 45 million Americans suffer from hives, a form of allergic contact dermatitis, with about half of those people suffering symptoms for up to 6 months at a time. Contact dermatitis is common among Americans. In fact, allergic contact dermatitis is the most common skin condition among children aged 10 and younger. The share of children diagnosed with it has risen from 3% in the 1960s to over 10% in the 1990s. These conditions account for about 25 million office visits to healthcare providers and nearly 500,000 hospital visits every single year. The most common triggers of these allergic conditions are airborne pollutants, such as pollens, mold spores, common household dust, pet hair and dander, etc. For those of you who have socialized healthcare, how big a problem is this in your countries? Would you like to reduce the strain on your healthcare system by simply recommending that these patients spend about $30 American or less for a simple, safe, and effective way to drastically reduce the amount of airborne allergens in their homes? Now, according to the American Lung Association, nearly 25% of Americans 18 and older smokes tobacco. The ALA also reports that about 28% of high school and 11% of middle school students here in America also smoke cigarettes. Tobacco smoke, even airborne secondhand smoke, is a known cancer-causing carcinogen, especially in small children whose lungs and bodies are still in the developmental stages of life. If you could literally pull the majority of those carcinogens out of the air before they're inhaled by others, would you? According to the European Community Respiratory Health Survey, or the ECRHS, the prevalence of rhinitis, or hay fever, in Europe, Australia, and Asia is around 35% and rising. Again, that's at least 35% of all of the billions of people in Europe, Australia, and Asia have been diagnosed with some form of allergy to airborne particles. From 2000 to 2005 alone, the cost of treating allergic rhinitis almost doubled from $6.1 billion in 2005 dollars to more than $11 billion in 2005 dollars. More than half of that was spent on prescription medications. Some people have symptoms of rhinitis no matter what the season, and that's called perennial allergic rhinitis. If you could reduce those numbers, would you? The obvious conclusion here is that by reducing or eliminating as many of these airborne pollutants, at least in the home, by filtering them straight out of the air, you could reduce, not eliminate, but reduce not only the strain on your nation's healthcare system, but the need for liver, kidney, stomach, etc. damaging petrochemical pharmaceuticals that cause a myriad of potentially life-threatening side effects, as well as simply allowing hundreds of millions of people to live happier, healthier lives overall and sleep more soundly without waking up in the middle of the night due to allergic reactions. In a nutshell, there's the human element in the equation concerning my invention. I've decided that I cannot go too deeply into the existing technology part of my research without giving away the secret of it all. I will state, however, that in the U.S. alone, more than 4 million sales are made annually that generate more than $50 million in just one of the 2 items required for my invention to work. Easily 95% of the places that sell that part, the former part, also sell the second part. With the proper introduction of my invention, those sales could easily skyrocket. Also, at least the first part mentioned can be found in pretty much every country in the world, and the sales statistics per capita likely are very much the same, if not higher. My conclusion is that worldwide, an aggressive enough company could easily pocket at least $10 million in sales over a 2 to 3 year period. Easily. My invention is ridiculously simple to operate. It is a one-piece design that would be sold in a package of 3. It needs no glues, no tape, no bands, no magnets, no strings, screws, adjustments, anything of any type by the manufacturer or the end user. It's one piece that slides easily into place, no fuss, no muss, so simple and safe, an 8-year-old child could install it. It's totally safe for use around children and pets. It would be ridiculously inexpensive to manufacture, package, and get to the end user. I've already gone through the R&D. My design is 99% guaranteed to fit all existing technology. Now, with more and more crap being spewed into our atmosphere, more and more airborne pathogens, and a steep rise in allergies to standard everyday things like pollens, dust, pet dander, and etc., there is a growing need for people to take what steps they can to make the air they breathe cleaner. My invention could be utilized in any home environment, many indoor manufacturing environments, and even many office environments, and could easily be marketed to all of these consumers all over the world. Maintenance would be a snap, and replacement parts to the system could be easily and cheaply purchased from any hardware store and most department stores. In countries where the less expensive part of my existing technology required may not necessarily be so common as it is in America, the introduction of that particular piece could be easily obtained either way by an aggressive enough company. That being said, it would be a perfect addition to every hardware and department store's inventory after the initial as seen on TV sales have made their piece of the pie off of it, of course, and fan the flames of the consumer's need to have this in their home or workplace. There are a few products that might be considered as similar or competing, but all they do is offer a similar end result and are much more expensive. My invention is so inexpensive, universal, and simple to use that I seriously don't consider any of these currently marketed products to be of any competition whatsoever. The estimated cost to manufacture and package in bulk would be considerably less than $1 American per packaged unit. If manufactured in a developing or third world nation, the cost would be presumably quite a bit less than that. Since it is a single piece design, it could be manufactured in any plastic injection molding plant in the world. Out of the mold, just clean up any flash, then straight to QC and packaging. Any parts failing QC would be dropped right back into the batch and remolded ad nauseum. That being said, the cost of manufacturing and delivering my invention to any market would specifically depend on where it's manufactured and where it will be shipped to from there. I have a CAD drawing, CAD. I have a drawing ready to go. Pictures of a working handmade prototype and pictures from my R&D process. If you have any professional experience in the fields of production, sales, or distribution of manufactured goods, then you should realize from the words that I use that I know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the primary target market would be to people with asthma, emphysema, and allergies of any sort to airborne pollutants. The secondary target market would be to the households of pet owners. According to the American Pet Products Association, a national pet owner survey shows that over 62% of American households alone owns a pet, which equates to over 72 million homes. Even if you're not allergic to your pet, their hair gets everywhere. Believe me, I know. If you could literally pull a good percentage of that loose hair and dander out of the air before it gets a chance to build up in the corners of your home, how much would you be willing to pay for that? Would you be willing to shell out a one-time payment of around $25 to $30 American and about $3 American every other month or so just to keep your home cleaner on autopilot? Would you? The third target market would be to heads of household and homemakers, especially those with children and or smokers. Anyone who lives with a smoker in the house knows that in a short time, a white painted ceiling and walls becomes yellow and sticky as the nicotine residue builds up. Over time, this residue thickens, becomes tacky, and begins to trap other airborne pollutants. Let's not forget, of course, the reported incidence of disease related to secondhand smoke. Even within households where there are no people with asthma or allergies, smokers or pets, you still have to deal with dust. And I don't think we really need some official sounding organization to state that dust is airborne and that every single home in the world has to deal with it. There are dozens of products on the market today designed for the sole purpose of cleaning the home. The vast majority of these cleaning products are toxic, in case you didn't notice. Let's not forget the expense of having to resupply these toxic chemical cleaners regularly, and of course the need to store them where any small children, grandchildren, or pets can't get to them. How many of these household cleaners do you have that say on the label toxic, poisonous, keep away from children, or in case of ingestion, contact poison control? I would hazard a guess that pretty much all of them have that marking on them. Would you like to reduce the number of these toxic chemicals in your household? My invention can help you do that safely and very effectively for dirt cheap. Do you or anyone you know have ceiling fans or any kind of portable fans in your home? Even without smokers in the house, pollen and other airborne pollutants builds up, becomes tacky, and traps dust and other pollutants on the fan grills and blades and motors. How often do you need to unplug the fan or turn off a ceiling fan to clean the dust and crud built up on the blades or grills? If your answer is at least once, then you are a potential customer. If you knew of a way to literally pull the airborne pollutants from the air of every room in your house cheaply, safely, and effectively, would you be interested? The fourth target market would be to production-based employers. I've been a blue-collar production worker most all my life and have worked in many different types of manufacturing plants. I can tell you from personal experience that there are plenty of manufacturing plants out there that just don't have adequate ventilation, at least in America. From custom paint, stain, lacquer shops to metal, wood, plastic, and fiberglass manufacturing, where dust and airborne debris can be a serious issue. This is not only an issue to the employee's health, but to, in some cases, the proper manufacture of the finished product. It's not always so easy a thing to simply open a door or window for extra ventilation, especially in colder climates where winter weather can get rather harsh. Also, I can personally attest to the fact that most people just don't want to wear a dust mask, which in some cases simply isn't enough anyway, or a respirator all day long. People want to be comfortable at work, and believe me, dust masks and respirators just aren't very comfortable. My invention could be marketed to many of these manufacturing plants as a cost-effective way to help them control the amounts of toxic crap floating around in their air out there on the production floor. The fifth target market would actually be to the governments of nations with socialized health care. Because of how insanely inexpensive my invention is to manufacture and how easy it is to use, healthcare providers in these nations could hand out packs of my invention to suitable patients in need and instruct them to go pick up the other two items of existing technology. These patients would more often than not feel relief of their symptoms within a few hours of setting up and be asking themselves, Why hasn't anybody come up with this before now? A word about the competition. There are air filtration units on the market today that do most of what my invention offers. Obviously, the problem with it is that they can cost upwards of $200 to $300 or more each, and replacement filters could cost anywhere from $25 to $85 or more. In researching for the cost effectiveness of my invention, I went to several hardware and department stores to look at the air filtration systems available in my area. I searched the internet, and also I've done a great deal of travel over the last several years, and I've been looking. The least expensive one I found was $65 and was about twice the size of a standard radio alarm clock. It was rated to clean the air pretty much around your desk, and that's about it. I ask, if you could find a way to clean the air not only in your entire home office, but throughout your entire home, better than that product could for less than half that price, would you be interested? Do you have a workshop or a garage that you tinker in? You could easily and inexpensively set up there too. One last benefit my invention has that the others just don't is that not only would it clean the air far more effectively than those expensive air purification machines for a fraction of the price, but would at the same time help circulate the heat when it's cold or the air conditioning when it's hot. It would also help circulate the scent of air fresheners such as candles, wax melts, incense, and the like. All at the same time, it's filtering the gunk out of your air. None of those expensive air filtration machines advertise that they can do that. A few quick closing thoughts. To the people who claim that money can't buy you happiness, I call BS. I say that if money can't buy you happiness, then you have absolutely no clue as to what would make you happy. I'll go along with that whole idea about can't buy you love, but happiness? Yeah, okay. And if the former is your outlook on life, then by all means, feel free to unburden yourself of whatever unhappy cash you happen to have sitting around and send it in my direction. I'll show you how to be happy. I've seen several videos on YouTube about people who seem to have more money than they reasonably know what to do with, and then go out and give X amount to some random homeless person, then, quote, what happens next, end quote, is tear-jerking, heartbreaking, or some other load of staged crap. There's an old adage that says, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. I'm not here begging for free fish. If you want to give me a few, fine, I won't turn it down. It will help a little, but not in the long run. Metaphorically speaking, I pretty much know how to fish, but due to my health, or lack thereof, being stuck in the vicious cycle of wage slavery, and my specific geographic location, I'm, metaphorically, stuck at a little tiny pond that's been fished out, and I need to get to the open sea, if you follow me. I need to sell this invention so that I can position myself and have the time to learn and get to the next step. For the right company, my invention could easily generate tens of millions of dollars, or whatever your money system uses, in profits well within the first several years on the international market. I ask for only a small fraction of that. If you are the representative of a legitimate organization or entity that would be interested in more information about my invention, then message me privately with contact information, and after a confidentiality agreement is signed, we can go from there. Please consider my proposal. You have nothing to lose and millions upon millions of reasons to gain. So I end this here, and thank you for your consideration. This is Homeless D, and I'm out, but not down yet.